following program is available in high definition on Channel 700. This program is designed and produced by the community with the support of TV Cogeco.
Hi, welcome to Oakville Matters. This is local television on Cogeco Cable Channel 23 and 700 and all kinds of times of the week where we talk about what matters to Oakville. And today we're answering so we're giving you some examples of Oakville's strategy to deal with climate change. I know that people divide into sort of three groups: people who think we ought to have a climate change strategy, people who hope we do, and people who know we do. And I'm sure that the people who know we do might be the smallest group. So the good news is, here's three examples of things that are happening under Oakville's climate change strategy. And with us to talk about it is Dan Steele, who is the Director of Engineering at Oakville Hydro, and Jay Morgan, who's the General Manager of Envirolok Canada, and Joe Berta, who's the Managing Director of ARCA Canada. And each of these gentlemen works at a different piece of the puzzle. At Oakville Hydro, I think it might be obvious how we might deal with climate change by making energy more efficient, and Envirolok has to do with fighting erosion and making our pathways and our parks and our trails more sustainable, and we'll show you some examples of that. And at ARCA, Joe's company recycles inefficient appliances like fridges. I was there once when I watched some amateurs trying to help with that, and it was exciting video.
Very exciting.
Too bad we don't. It's good for them we don't have that video. So Dan, why don't you start off and talk about how Oakville Hydro's work fits into this?
Well, there's several factors, and you already mentioned energy efficiency, and that's definitely one, and we've made great strides in the last few years with the province's policies so far. I'd like to talk about a couple things that we're really interested in and going into the future. One is a very well-established feed-in tariff program that Ontario government put into place for renewable energy. And this has been very successful. The other one I'd like to touch on is electric vehicles, their impact on the grid, and what we're doing to study them in the future.
I'd like to, actually, I think everybody'd like to know about that. We've all heard that Oakville is #1 in the country for electric vehicles. And I don't really know a way to prove that, but everybody tells me that, and I have one. So I can easily imagine that if we all plugged them in at once, would the power go poof in Oakville? What are you doing about that?
It wouldn't go poof yet, but the thing we have to think of is the future. Because, and I will say, I have run some of those numbers myself, and per capita, as far as information we have, Oakville is #1 for EVs. But I'll talk about a pilot project that we're just starting. Okay. Right now, I don't think there's an impact on the grid just because of the low numbers, but we have to plan for future and obviously for future generations.
So is the electricity kind of cellular, like a neighborhood is on a circuit or something? Like, how do you know how your house will only take so much, or no, what I'm trying to think of is there's a circuit in my house and I can only plug so many things into it before my house goes down. Is the neighborhood an analogy of that?
Exactly, exactly. And the problem that we could see is at the transformers, because it's going to have a certain number of customers, 8, 10, 15, depending on the situation. So the problem is once the EVs start to cluster in a neighborhood, that's when we're going to see an issue.
So if all my neighbors get EVs, we could push the infrastructure.
Yes.
Or challenge the infrastructure.
But then you could talk to your neighbors and say, okay, I'm going to charge at 11, you charge at 3. But anyway, we're going to put something, we're investigating a technology that would do that for people. And I'll talk about that pilot project for a couple of minutes.
Good. Good. So let's come back to that. And Jay, in Glenorchy, which is a pretty big deal in Oakville, it's a 600-acre conservation area that's under management by Conservation Halton, but it was a really big piece of the North Oakville protection of green space. You're fighting the erosion there on one of our trails. You want to talk about that?
Yes, well, we build what are called mechanically stabilized earth walls, and they're an alternative to stone or concrete, more environmentally friendly approach to fixing erosive slopes or steep slope stability problems. And Glen Orkey Trail particularly was at risk of eroding significantly to inhibit use.
Yeah, if you've walked in the 16 Mile Creek Valley, there's old trails, I mean, we have a huge network of trails in Oakville. And some of them are very steep and they're hard paved. And in the last 10 years, there's been quite a demand from the residents that our trails should be naturalized, or where we build a new one, they don't want asphalt paving and all. And it should be obvious to everyone that that means that rain and surface water flow could cause erosion. So you have a way of making it possible to have a natural looking trail without paving, and without having erosion, I mean. How do you do that?
Well, we use an approach which is called mechanically stabilized earth structures. These are permanent geotextile filled soil bags, and we mechanically pinned those to the slope. It was a design implemented by AMAC.
Well, there's a picture that we're showing folks.
So this is close to the top of the slope. So these bags each weigh about 90 pounds. They're all hand placed by man labor.
So it reminds me of sandbags trying to reinforce a dike and stop a flood or something.
That's right, except these bags don't break down. They will permanently encapsulate soil. And we can live stake, in this case we did with dogwood and willow, between the bags during construction. And it was followed by a hydro seed application of native seed approved by the Conservation Authority.
Is that really blue?
Well, it's actually green. The picture is a little off, but
okay.
This is hydro seeded after completion of construction. This was about 4,400 of our units installed in 5.5 days by a crew of about 6 guys. It was very efficiently done, very well executed project. I'm very proud of it. We were working with a local contractor named CSL Group out of Hamilton, who also do a lot of work.
6 guys, 4,400 bags.
800 bags a day.
I bet they ached when they went home.
They got a good workout, but they enjoyed it. They were a very good crew. CSL is a very good contractor, and AMAC is one of my preferred engineering firms.
Well, we'll come back to this. Joe, I want to get the swinging refrigerator image out of people's minds and into and substitute what really goes on.
Essentially, at ARCA Canada, we decommission in environmentally sound manner appliances containing CFCs. And we've done over 500,000 so far, working with utilities and progressive retailers. The interesting thing is you're talking about where the power is going to come from to power the electric cars. It's through conservation. The refrigerator you'd buy today is 30% more efficient than a fridge that was made, say, prior to 2000. So the manufacturers are doing their part. We as consumers have to make sure that the retailers are taking them back and handling them properly, and they're being decommissioned properly. The old CFCs have 10,000 times greater GWP, global warming potential, than some of the new refrigerants that are on the marketplace. And when those release into the atmosphere, there's a hole into the ozone, which we all know exists.
Yeah, I've been to your place, and it's an amazing disassembly line.
Exactly.
So is this your, are you located anywhere else, or does everything happen here?
We've got 2 locations. We've got one in Oakville for Ontario, and we also have one in Nova Scotia, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. So.
Wow. And do you get to go to both?
I get to go to both, depending on the time of the year.
Okay, trick question. Which one's better?
Oakville.
Oh, good answer.
and we also have operations in the U.S. as well. We're founded in Minneapolis, so.
Oh, no question Oakville's better than that.
Definitely better than that.
I totally agree with that.
How many units would you recycle in a typical year?
Typical year, anywhere from 28,000 to 48,000. Our best year ever was 92,000.
My goodness, that's just Canada.
That's just Oakville.
That's just Oakville?
Just Oakville.
Oh, wow, that's
We were running
tremendous.
double shifts, triple shifts. There was all kinds of ACs and DHUMs coming through, and it's just quite exciting.
Now, Dan, at Oakville Hydro, you've had posters and things out saying, appliance roundup or beer fridge roundup or something. Yes. Do you contribute to this workload?
Yes, we did. I don't know if we're enrolled right now, but I know we were in past years. And
there's discussions, and I think after this, Dan, we'll get you to sign up today, and we'll get you on as well. We'll start picking
We'll
up.
do the deal right here.
That's right.
Did you bring your pens? That's right.
But I know that we did participate several years ago, and I think turned over quite a few appliances.
Exactly,
within Oakville.
and Oakville's always been a very green community. Historically, I've worked with other utilities and worked with OPG on their green power program, and the focus was Oakville because they knew that Oakville cared.
So when it adds up, how many years have you been doing it?
We've been at this since 2007 in Oakville.
So, and that takes you to the grand total of how many again?
500,000.
500,000. Wow. So can you generate from that a ballpark guess of how much difference that makes? I mean, how much greenhouse gas that removes or prevents?
We've prevented a ton. Sorry, I didn't bring the numbers out here, but we can say through our work we did not enlarge the size of the ozone hole. We prevented and advanced things.
I didn't mean to put you into doing math in your head or anything. Not my sport either. So Jay, back to the sandbags. I know they're not sandbags, but where else have you done that?
Well, we've done lots of infrastructure type projects for various cities in Ontario: Hamilton, Oakville, Barrie, London, Ingersoll. We just got our first M&R, or Ministry of Natural Resources and Fisheries, approved project in Huntsville. So really, we're going where the need is.
Okay. And how long a trail? Were you only working on that one side of a bank type of place?
Yes, that's where Envirolok was specified, particularly for that failing trail. There was concern that the undermining of the area that you saw in the footage there might compromise the integrity of the upper trail. And while I was there during construction, it was a very well-used trail. There were a lot of people through.
Yeah, I mean, we are very keen for our trails. There's something like 1,500 kilometers, if I remember my numbers correctly, of trails, which always blows me away when you think that Oakville is 15 kilometers wide and 10 or 12 kilometers high, depending on where you measure. Maybe 140 square kilometers, and we got that much trails. I think we have 2,000 lane kilometers of streets, so gives you a context for the trails. Mm-hmm. I'm always struck by how busy it is.
I was too. I was too. And people were very passionate about it too. When I did speak with them, they wanted to know what was going on and asked lots of questions, and they were concerned that they were going to lose the trail, and of course I confirmed that we're just going to make it last longer. This
is actually one of the most fascinating points about that I see as mayor. People are very passionate about the environment and about being green in Oakville. And we have I know Oakville Hydro, you have a program, or you had one, I don't know if you still do or not, you can help us out on this, Dan. Peak Saver, I think it's called anyway. I participated in it. They came and they put a special thermostat in my house, and it allows Hydro to turn up or down my air conditioner when there's a heavy demand to prevent a blackout, was the way I understood it. And part of the pitch was that I wouldn't, the on and off would be so imperceptible I'd never notice it and I wouldn't be inconvenienced. And so I trusted you, and it's true, it's worked out exactly that way. But I don't know whether it's, and because I couldn't tell, I don't know if it's ever even been used. But I met a lot of people who wouldn't want the utility able to do that. They want to be able to keep their house like a meat locker if they want, and so how, and that I think sets you up to talk about your pilot project that you were going to tell us about.
Yeah, that's perfect. The pilot project we're doing for EVs is called EV Future Grid, and we're trying to enroll people that have existing EVs or potential buyers, and we will place a managed charger at their home so that we can monitor charging. And also we have a partner that has a device in the vehicle side that will measure the state of the battery, and you can set customer preferences. For instance, What time do you need your car to be fully charged? 7 a.m. Which days? Weekends could be different. So what we do is through and it's just in its infancy. We're trying to get the first one enrolled. So if you're interested, please visit our website.
Yes, I've enrolled, and it was painless. All I had to do was have a hydro engineer and somebody from the company visit and look in my garage and decide where to put it. And my wife proudly told me that she told him to put it in the corner. So that was, how much easier than that could it be?
That's perfect.
Now, and so I'm going to trust you to manage my car's charging.
Yes.
Because at 7 a.m. I need enough juice to do my daily 50 to 70 kilometers, which is, if you're thinking about being mayor someday, you're going to drive around town 50 to 70 kilometers a day, I promise you. Because that's about what it takes to be engaged and know what's going on.
Yeah, that's correct. So we monitor the state of the battery and also control the charger. And we'll also do the charging, of course, off-peak hours, so it doesn't impact your load.
And it'll be
peak.
cheaper for me.
It'll be cheaper.
Because off-peak is less expensive.
It'll be cheaper, and we're future-proofing it, this technology, because if you get the clustering in a neighborhood, then you can look at all the chargers and manage when they're charging. So you don't have to talk to your neighbor about, you go first, I go second.
Well, neighbor, I do like to talk to you, and I don't mind us working out together when we'll charge, but this does sound like it's more convenient. And when they visited me, they said that this roughly, I mean, if you buy a charging unit, when you buy an electric vehicle, the car company tries to sell you a home charger that's 240 volt, which is what you're talking about.
Yes.
So that charges your car in a third of the time, or 40% of the time, that the 110 volt or 120 volt one that comes with the car will do. And so it's way better to charge my car in 4 hours than in 11 hours. I get the value. I saw the need for speed in that, and I got a lot of quotes, and it was roughly all in, electrician, equipment, installation, the whole deal, like almost $2,000. And you're offering this for $25 a month, is that right?
$25 a month. Now, if you have to do an electrical upgrade to get it installed, then there might be some cost to run a circuit there. But if the facility is there, we will lease this for about $25 a month. And actually, for the first 10 in the program, we won't charge you a lease for the first year, just to try and get people to participate.
I got to check, was I first?
You're one of the top 10.
Geez. I'm probably, as mayor, when I'm at any kind of a fundraiser and I win a raffle, I always give it back because I'm afraid that if I keep it, there'll be cries of fix. So I may not take that. But all right, so we've only got 10. We got to get the EV owners to get fully on board. When you make the decision to buy an electric vehicle, you're kind of signing up for the climate change fight. So let's go all the way and prevent. I mean, this obviously prevents the need to overbuild generation.
That's
and
correct.
to overbuild transformers in the neighborhoods. If you get the need for an electric vehicle in the first place, you would get the need for having the savings all out throughout the system by managing the load.
Yes.
CDM, this is CDM, right? Consumer Demand Management?
Conservation Demand Management.
Conservation Demand Management.
This isn't directly related to CDM, although the principles are
Similar,
the same.
right?
But it's
managing
yes,
the load.
It's outside that program, but the principles are the same.
All right, and when does this start? Do we need a certain number to sign up before we do it?
No, we're ready to go.
It's not in the corner of my garage yet.
No, that's true. We've, over the last few months, been advertising. We're going to amp that up. You'll see ads in the paper to try and get people incented to do this very shortly. So we're excited about it.
I am too, and I mean, I've met, by having an electric vehicle, I meet all the other electric vehicle guys. It's like if you have a unique car and you see another guy with the same car, you become, you suddenly feel free to chat about it. And you don't even wait for somebody to introduce you. I mean, it's like an instant bond, right? Mm-hmm. So all my EV friends, it's time to sign up. And there's a benefit in this somewhere. You get to keep it, or how does that work?
It depends.
Or you pay $25 a month forever?
as long as you want. Right now we're looking at 5-year leases, but there's options after a few years if you want to buy the unit. We will maintain ownership of that unit, and the $25 just to maintain it, operate it, and have it in your household. So
I got to run the numbers on that, see whether that makes sense or not. I mean, I have an existing system that I think cost me less than just under $2,000. I don't think you can spend more than that. I mean, I guess you could if you really tried, but who would, right?
Yeah, good point.
Because we're buying these things to save money in the first place.
I'm curious, so does the 240 volt charge in 4 hours consume less power than the 120 volt charging in 11 hours?
No, it's going to be basically equivalent.
It is equivalent.
It's just
more convenient.
It's a little more efficient to do a faster charge, but the power is pretty much the same. It's just the convenience factor of being able to charge in a shorter period of time.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the makers have this theory that, well, you go home at night, you're going to be there for 10 or 11 hours, and it'll be ready in the morning at 120 volts. And then all over the world, you have guys and gals going, yeah, but I need speed. Even if you don't you sometimes feel like you... Like, suppose you never drove more than 100 kilometers an hour, and then somebody made a car that wouldn't ever go faster than 100 kilometers an hour. You wouldn't buy it, would you? Because you might want to go to pass somebody. I mean, you know how it is. Speed. I don't know about my wife. I got to check with her. But for every guy I know, there's a need for speed. I think we're born that way. We apologize, but we're made that way.
Now, is there a provincial program with electric vehicles going on right now, I thought?
Yeah, they did an amazing thing. They increased the rebate for an electric vehicle 2 weeks after I bought my new electric vehicle.
Yes.
And I thought, man, do I have timing.
But what about charging stations? I heard something about charging stations.
There is also, and I can talk for a minute about that, because we partnered on 2 applications in February, or late last year. The province announced $20 million for public charging. Okay. And applications were due in February. We partnered with the town on one, and partnered with a bunch of LDCs and Plug and Drive on another one. So the results are supposed to come out shortly, and we're hopeful that we're going to have public infrastructure within Oakville and beyond.
So now, every EV person I meet wants to know not just when, but where they'll be. Can you give us any hints, or can you tease us about where they'll be?
For our applications, yes, we're looking at community centers, Oakville community centers. We're looking at Town Hall, some of the public parking in downtown, Bronte and Kerr Street. So where people are shopping, where people are going for sporting events, that's the areas that we've been selecting.
I'd really be happy to see them in the business districts. I think that would be a good incentive. And in the downtown, this is a fantasy of mine. I apologize in advance if it doesn't sound all that buttoned down and businesslike. But I'd like to take the most visible, prime possible spot and make it an EV spot as a kind of, it's kind of like an advertisement or a billboard, implied billboard, to say if you had an EV, you not only could be saving money, you could be parking here in the very best spot. At the GO station, they have these 2 chargers, and the other day I went in to go to Toronto, and I was going to park the car and charge it while I was away, and somebody, I won't say what kind of car they were driving for fear of embarrassing that brand, had parked there but not plugged in. And the sign clearly says for charging, not as a reward for having, but for charging. And it costs $2.50. So I didn't leave a note. I thought I'd probably pay for my impulse if I gave in to impulse and left a note like, what are you doing? And I went and parked elsewhere, and went without a charge. Have we talked any of you into, you haven't got an EV?
No, but I will consider it for my next purchase. I'm a bit different. I keep cars for a long time, so I'm not due, but I will definitely consider it.
I used to do that, but now I change them like I change my socks. Yeah. I don't know. My wife's starting to get on me about that. Have we sold you on an EV, either of you?
Well, I'd love an EV. drive an older car now, but I really need a truck and for the work that I do, and I don't think there's options available yet in the truck market.
I just saw a promo from Tesla. They're developing a pickup truck.
Are they? Interesting.
And I was at a trade show last year where a company called Sun Country had a ginormous, not an F-150, but the heavy, was it the 350? Is that the heavy duty one?
Mm-hmm.
So they had a ginormous pickup truck of that size, and it had a fantastic capacity of battery. I know my Volt has 18 kilowatt hour battery, and I think this had 50, like a Tesla. And the coolest thing was, you know, the tonneau cover on the back of a pickup? It was solar panels.
Oh, interesting.
For a little extra kick.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
I don't know if it contributed much, but you know, if you wanted to show you were really into solar power, boy, that's how you would do it. And Oakville's into solar power. Are you involved in the solar power farm that Oakville has?
I wasn't directly involved. I know about the project that's out near Picton in eastern Ontario. And it's a large solar farm. I can't even remember exactly. I think it's around 16 megawatts. It covers around 100 acres. I wasn't directly involved, but definitely a very interesting project, contributing to the province's goals.
Yeah, and it's doing the town, it's doing good on the environment front, it's doing good on the climate change front, but it's also doing good on the finance front. The money we make from that solar farm is helping to carry the donation we made to our new hospital. So talk about ecological, you know, where things are circular and it all feeds in on itself. That certainly is what we achieved there. Joe, what's ahead for you at ARCA?
We're looking at renewing these programs. We're continuing to attract retailers and hopefully some manufacturers as the climate change moves forward. The other piece that I neglect to mention is we also take up PCBs and mercury, which is in 1 gram of mercury is enough to pollute an 8-hectare lake. So when I'm thinking about some of the trails that he's looking at, you've probably seen some old appliances there and what have you. So we're continuing to grow, help utilities and help customers do things better. So.
Well, long life and prosperity to you for what you're doing, to all of you. And I want to thank everyone for watching today. Hope you'll watch Oakville Matters again next time when we delve into the things that matter to us here in Oakville as we chase our vision to be Canada's most livable town. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again.